you realise it's quite serious. Your mother's boyfriend, Gary, you know that he's dead, do you?
Are you okay?
Okay, let's start with you. How old are you?
13.
And have you lived in the house a long time?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like it there normally? Is it a friendly place, or is there sometimes trouble?
Usually friendly.
Do your mum and dad let you have friends round?
Sometimes.
Oh, well, that's nice. That's good. Who was there at the house today, this afternoon?
Me, my brother,
You and your brother, yeah.
my mum,
Yeah. And your dad?
her boyfriend.
Is that Gary? How'd you get on with Gary? Would you say it was a good relationship you had with him? Are you okay with him? Do you spend time together?
I know it can be difficult to go over these things, Chloe. So if you need to talk to somebody, or if you want to speak about something else, we can find an officer who's not a man, if you think it will make you feel more comfortable.
Okay, Chloe, I can see you're upset. We're going to take a break, and I'm going to ask someone to come and have a chat with you before we come back, just to make sure you're okay. So, Chloe, are you feeling a bit better? Are you okay to continue?
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to tell us? Is there anything you'd like to tell us that will make it easier for you? Is there anything you want to say?
You need to stop calling Gary my dad. He's not my dad. My real dad's dead.
I'm sorry to hear that. Did you want to tell me about him?
He died in an accident at work. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. What do you normally call your mum's boyfriend?
Don't really talk to him.
You don't? How does your mum feel about that?
Don't know.
All right, let's start again. How did you feel this morning when you got up? Were you in a happy mood?
Yeah.
Oh, well, so that's good. So, everything was all right? Who was at home with you?
My mum and my brother.
Was Gary there?
Yeah.
At what time did she get up? The normal time?
Yeah.
All right, so there was nothing unusual. It was just an ordinary day. Did you have anything planned?
Not really, just school.
So, did all the things that happened later on in the house happen after you got back from school?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So when you got back from school, who was there?
My mum, my brother,
Nobody else?
Gary.
Okay, so your mum and your brother and Gary, were they... Where were they? Whereabouts were they?
Mum was in the kitchen. My brother came home with me. And Gary was watching TV and drinking as usual.
What was he watching?
Boxing. He's always watching boxing.
Okay, What were you doing when you got home?
We went upstairs.
You said we. Who was with you?
My brother, Josh.
Oh, okay. How are you and your brother, Josh? Do you get on well?
Yeah, I guess.
How old is he? He's quite young, isn't he?
8.
Do you sort of look after him?
Yeah.
Do you remember what made you come downstairs?
Mum wanted to check my homework.
She wanted to check your homework. Does she do that often?
Sometimes, yeah.
What about your brother? Did he come down with you?
Yeah.
Was it relaxed when you got downstairs?
Yeah.
Did you think there was anything unusual about the day?
No.
Did you notice anything else unusual?
No.
How's your mum?
Fine.
And how's Gary?
I don't know.
You don't know. Do you get on well with your mum?
Yeah.
And how do you get on with Gary? Do you argue with your mum?
Not really.
Not about homework or school?
No.
Or... Does she argue much?
With her boyfriend sometimes.
Ah, she argues with Gary. Has this happened recently?
Yeah.
Do you know what the arguments are about?
No.
Does Gary argue with you? So, Chloe, does Gary argue with you?
No.
So you're okay with him? All right. Let's talk about what happened later on. So, after you've come down and you're sat with your brother and your mum and Gary. No, Gary was in a different room. That's right, isn't it? What happened next?
Well, Mum was in the kitchen doing stuff, and there was a knock at the door, and there was a delivery man.
It was a delivery man. Did you see the delivery man?
No.
Who went to the door?
Mum.
Do you know what company it was and what it was?
I think it was some game.
Some game, what, like a computer game or a console game?
It was Gary's. I think it was the new Call of Duty game for the Xbox.
Oh, so Gary plays console games. So, then what happened? So, what happened, Chloe? Chloe?
It was the delivery man.
The delivery man?
He barged his way in and went after Gary. He chased him into the garden. Mum tried to stop him and she got hit. He stabbed Gary and ran off.
Have you ever seen him before?
Not that I know of.
Well, can you describe him to us?
He was tall, dark hair. I don't remember much.
And you're sure it was the delivery man?
I don't know.
Okay, Chloe, we're going to have to look into this. We'll take a break. I think we'll stop for tonight. DC Metcalf, can you take over? Okay, Chloe, how do you feel this morning? I understand DC Metcalf found somewhere for you to stay with your brother. Was everything okay?
Yeah, it was alright.
You spoke to the hospital, didn't you?
Yeah, I spoke to the hospital and your mum is stable. She hasn't come round yet, she hasn't woken up yet, but she's stable and fine, and they're looking after her, okay? And are you okay?
When can I see her?
Soon, Chloe, soon. We just need to get a couple more questions out of the way first.
So, Chloe, let's go back to yesterday. I know this is going to be difficult for you, but we've managed to track down the delivery man, and we know all about that now. The delivery driver went on to 3 more addresses and delivered parcels, so quite clearly it wasn't the delivery man. Now, I understand you might be worried about this. So do you want to tell me again what happened after the parcel arrived? Is there anything you want to tell us? I'm not asking you to blame anyone. I just want to know what happened. It wasn't the delivery man, was it? So why would you tell us that? I can't understand why you'd tell us something that's not true. But what can you tell us? What can you tell us about what happened now? What happened? What really happened?
Do you need a tissue?
I've got to keep asking these questions. So, the delivery man came round, he gave your mum a parcel, and then he left.
Mum and Gary had another argument.
You say another argument. Now, I can see from our records that we've been to your house before. When you say an argument, was it a fight? Was there violence?
It was an argument at first. He'd been drinking again.
What was the argument about?
Mum said he'd used her credit card and he said he hadn't.
Okay. Then what happened?
I don't know. Mum asked me to go outside.
So, where were your mum and Gary at this time?
In the kitchen.
So, Gary had come into the kitchen, they were still arguing, and your mum told you to go outside. What about your brother?
Him too.
So the two of you went outside. Onto the grassy area or outside? If I show you the drawing, this is the back door, this is where the vegetables are. Whereabouts were you?
There.
And where were your mum and dad? I mean Gary.
In the kitchen.
So, could you see your mum and Gary at this time?
No, not really.
So how do you know they were fighting?
I could hear Mum. She was just screaming, "Go away." I heard him hitting her.
But you couldn't see it, but you could hear the noises. What was your mum doing?
She was just shouting no.
And then what happened?
Mum came out of the door. She had a knife in her hand.
How did she seem?
Angry, scared.
So she's coming out with a knife. What happened next? Chloe, we have to find these things out so that we can sort things out. We don't do it on purpose. We need to know the truth.
It was Gary. He fell on the knife.
So Gary fell on the knife. Whereabouts did he fall on it?
In the garden.
Whereabouts? Can you show us on the plan whereabouts he fell?
There.
But that's where he was when we came in, where the paramedics were. But the knife was here. So that doesn't seem very likely, does it? Is there any other possibility?
Maybe Mum did it.
Maybe your mum did it.
I don't know. I couldn't really see.
Well, where were you standing?
There.
So you were standing there, and your mum was there. And where was Gary?
There.
Look, this makes it very difficult. We've had a look at the scene. We've had a look at the scene there, and we know where different things happen because of where the blood was and things like that. So if you'd have been standing that close, you'd have been able to see it. Is there anything else that you want to tell us?
He was always hitting Mum, and she just took it. I hated him. I wanted him dead. I hated him.
What are you trying to tell me?
I did it.
You did what, Chloe?
I killed him.
You understand that when you say that, you killed him. You understand what that means? Are you sure that's what you want to say? How did you do it?
I just ran up to him and stabbed him.
All right. I'm going to have to terminate this interview. I'm going to have to arrest you. Do you understand that? I'm going to have to arrest you for stabbing him. You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you fail to mention when questioned something you later rely on in court, and anything you do say may be used against you. Okay, Chloe, you know why we're here. I'm just going to go through the procedure again and remind you who we all are. Now, you remember me, I'm DS Mason, and this is...
DC Metcalf.
And this is...
Mrs. Parker, duty solicitor.
And this is...
Mr. Donnelly, appropriate adult.
So I'm going to remind you that you're still under caution. That means that if you don't tell us what happened, or if you tell us something and then change your mind later at court, the court might think you're lying. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
So, if I take you back to yesterday afternoon, tell me what happened in your own words. Start from when you got home from school.
Well, like I said, I came home from school and went upstairs. Me and my brother both did. We had homework, and then we went back downstairs when Mum called. But my brother was already down there helping Mum. The delivery guy came and went. They argued about him paying for it on Mum's card, and then Mum came back in the kitchen and made dinner.
And then what happened?
We were eating our dinner, and he came through to get his plate. Mum asked if he was going to eat with us, and they started arguing again. And then...
Go on.
He threw his dinner on the floor, and as Mum was trying to clean it up, he kicked her. Mum told us to go outside. I heard him hit her 3 or 4 times, and then he said something like, "Don't be stupid," or something like that. And then he sort of came out of the door backwards. Mum came out as well, and she had a knife in her hand.
What happened next?
He swore at Mum, and he took the knife from her and just chucked it away, laughing at her. And then he started to strangle her. And my brother shouted for him to stop because he was hurting her. He let her go and she fell to the floor. And my brother ran over to look after her. And he grabbed my brother. I didn't want him to hurt my brother, so I just picked up the knife and just ran over and just stabbed him.
Whereabouts was the knife?
On the floor.
Can you show me where? And where were you standing when you stabbed him?
More towards the house.
What happened then?
I pulled the knife out as he fell to the floor. I dropped it and went over to Mum. She wasn't talking, so I went inside and called the ambulance.
How long did the ambulance take?
I don't know, I wasn't looking at the time, but it felt like ages.
Did your mother say anything? Was she awake?
Not when I checked her.
Did you go back to her, or did you stay in the house?
I stayed inside on the phone.
So, your mum's lying at the top of the steps, and Gary is lying near the greenhouse, and you're inside the house with your brother. Then what happened?
The ambulance came.
What did you tell the paramedics?
I told them I didn't know what happened. Am I going to go to prison?
We don't know, but I know that if you tell the truth and give your side
But
of the
I am
story,
telling the truth.
then the court will decide, and the judge will decide who goes to prison. And I don't know whether you will or whether you won't, but if you tell the truth and you're honest, then it will be seen in the best possible light. Okay, Chloe. Let's go back to where you stabbed Gary. You're in front of Gary, you've got the knife, and you stabbed him. Where did you stab him?
Like, in the stomach.
Come in.
No words, sir.
All right, I'll just have to pause this for a moment. Okay, Chloe. Are you okay to continue?
Yeah.
Interview recommences 2:13 p.m. I've just been informed by one of my colleagues that your brother has spoken to us, and he said it was him. He stabbed
He's
your
lying.
mum's boyfriend.
He's protecting me.
Well, why would he do that?
He doesn't want me to get into trouble.
Well, we have a problem then, don't we? Both of you are saying you did it. Both of you have fingerprints on the knife. Both of you have blood all over your clothes. Either of you could have done it. Chloe, what really happened?
I don't want him to go to prison.
He wouldn't. Are you telling me he did it?
Yeah. When Mum fell to the ground, I wanted to see if she was okay, so I went over to her and Gary tried to stop me. He grabbed me round the neck and was about to hit me, and that's when Josh ran over, picked up the knife and stabbed him.
So you're saying that your brother Josh stabbed Gary?
Yeah.
And Gary...
What's going to happen to Josh? He was only protecting me.
Josh is only 8. He's too young to go to court. What will happen now is we'll get you and your brother some support and help to get you through this. Are you able to arrange this?
I'm sure that won't be a problem.
Thank you. Now, Chloe, we just need to write all this down.
When will the children be able to see their mother?
As soon as we're done here, we'll get them both over to the hospital to see her.
Some game, what, like a computer game or a console game?
It was Gary's. I think it was the new Call of Duty game for the Xbox.